Hello there. I'm just going to go through some revision points on limiting factors in photosynthesis. Because photosynthesis is a chemical reaction, the most important chemical reaction in the world of biology, it has things which prevent it from happening, either to do with the reactants or to do with the conditions. So we're going to have a look at those. Okay, you've got to know the equation. It is the most important equation. Without it, we wouldn't be here. Plants are producing amazing stuff for us. Glucose, oxygen. We need that stuff. We want that stuff. So here's the equation. Carbon dioxide, water, and it needs light energy for it to happen. That's the conditions. And the products, glucose and oxygen. Let's just have a look at that in terms of chemicals. The one on the right with all the big numbers is glucose, C6H12O6. And let's have a look at a balanced version of that. Okay, and on we go. Right, chloroplasts are full of chlorophyll. That's the green pigment. They're doing the photosynthesis. Chloro means green, by the way, and phyll means leaf. So there you go, chlorophyll means green leaf. And you need to know the structure of the leaf. Remember back from year 9, you've got a stomata at the bottom, which is a hole in the bottom of the leaf letting gas exchange happen, and water molecules going in and out, and lots of chloroplasts in those cells doing photosynthesis. Okay, here's our first limiting factor. What was going on here? There's lots of light, no problem there. It seems warm enough, but of course what we haven't got is enough water. So that's one of the reactants, carbon dioxide and water. There's no water, you haven't got any photosynthesis, you've got no plants. Right, on to the next. Here's a nice sunny field, although there's a shady bit. This is in England, there is lots of water in the ground. Water isn't going to be a limiting factor. Here it is going to be, well, in the shady bit it's going to be light, because there is not enough light for us to hit the peak of photosynthesis. But out in the sunny bit we've got a different situation. It's going to be carbon dioxide concentration in the air. Carbon dioxide, again, one of the reactants, that's going to be a limiting factor. On to the next. Okay, there's carbon dioxide in the air, there is water in the ground, but the limiting factor here is probably light, because it appears to be nighttime. And here we've got a question about our old friends, the enzymes. Down at low temperatures, if you remember, your enzymes don't function so well, so photosynthesis is going to be limited. It's a chemical reaction, but because it's in a biological organism, it's going to be run by enzymes, and if your enzymes are too cold, they don't work too well. Right, now in Alaska, there's various things going on. Alaska, up in the far northern hemisphere, very long winters, 6 months of winter, very short day lengths, even in the summer. So there's not a lot of light about it. It's dark half the year and pretty dark the rest of the year. Sorry, it's got long day lengths in summer, hasn't it? But even so, it's only half the year. So we've also got low temperatures. So that low light level and low temperatures contribute to not much photosynthesis, which is why the trees are quite short. Here, the student has encased a plant in a plastic bag. Light's not a problem, gets through the plastic. Water's not a problem, she's watered it, but she has reduced its access to carbon dioxide. So there's a carbon dioxide limiting factor there going on with that plant. And here we have a couple of lettuces. The one on the right was grown in an ordinary field, quite small, quite reasonable size, but the one on the left has got much bigger. This is because it's been grown in a greenhouse which has been pumped full of nearly pure carbon dioxide. So that limiting factor has been removed, and your lettuce has been able to grow big and fix a lot more carbon into its tissues, because it's been given extra carbon dioxide, and that limiting factor has been removed. Alright, here's a classic graph you might see in an exam. It's a graph of rate of photosynthesis of a crop, and along the bottom, time of day, starting from dawn going through to dusk. And we can see over on the left, 6 AM, sun is just coming up, not much light, so rate of photosynthesis is low, and then it zooms up as light is no longer the limiting factor. But then we get to the top, as it drops off, what's the limiting factor? It's our old friend carbon dioxide, not so much in the atmosphere, and that goes on all day until once again in the evening as the sun sets, light becomes the limiting factor again. So that's a graph you might see in your exam. You're going to have to be prepared to deal with it. And last but not least, let's have a look at one of the plants who has adapted to deal with different conditions. Here's our old favourite graph again, rate of photosynthesis on the left, plotted against light intensity on the right. And let's draw a curve on that graph for a usual plant. So starting down at the bottom, light intensity, bit of a lag, and then our plant will start to photosynthesize, and the rate speeds up quite quickly with increasing light intensity, and then of course it's going to tail off somewhere over here. Nothing to do with light being a limiting factor because light intensity is still rising, but what would be the limiting factor here? Yes, of course, it's carbon dioxide concentration. So that's a standard plant, but there are some plants who've adapted to deal with lower light conditions. Let's have a look at one of them. This is Dog's Mercury. A spring plant comes out when day length is quite short, and it has quite specialized chlorophyll in its leaves, and its profile is a bit different. Let's take a look. So it starts off down here. But very different in that in low light intensities it's very good. It's an expert at speeding up rate of photosynthesis very quickly, so it can take advantage of short day length, low light intensity, although of course, as we might guess, it's still got the same limitation, which is carbon dioxide concentration. So there we go, that's us covered. See you later.